Yeah, thank you very much for this introduction. I'm really pleased to present some of my work. I will switch off the camera for the, the bandwidth. Yeah, so changing river courses and its impact on human settlement. Yeah. Okay, the study area is the Mesopotamian floodplain from Samar to Basra. So I have covered the area of the southern Mesopotamia floodplain of Tigris and Euphrates, where rivers actually were and are not stable and always subjected to change their courses for natural and anthropological causes. So this is my area of interest. I'm not dealing with the area to the north of Samarra or to the west or east of Iraq. I'm studying the tricky, the risky, the unstable part of Mesopotamia, which is the southern part. It's unstable, but it's rich in river network, canals network, and also maybe 2/3 of the archaeological sites are there in this area, and of course 2/3 of the present population actually of Iraq is in this area. So in the past, this is the area was really important, and currently it's more important too. And in the past and now, we as Iraqis are fighting the water of the rivers. Yeah, so as you can see here, it's a basin. It's like a big lake between the Zagros mountain from the east, Iran, to the north, we have also a mountain, and to the east, we have the Arabian plateau. So it's a basin, and Tigris and Euphrates actually were and are free to go within this area. I'm always referring to it as a football stadium, where the Tigris and Euphrates can play freely in this basin. So you can find Tigris and in an area that you do not expect, and you can find Euphrates also in an area that you cannot expect. So it's really hard to differentiate between Tigris and Euphrates just because their location. So that's why I'm always asking for help from Eduardo Garazanti. I think he's with us today to in terms of identifying the ancient Tigris or ancient Euphrates using the heavy minerals, sand and clay and so on. Yes, so this is the floodplain that I'm dealing with for more than 15 years of my life. I live there. My students are working there. All of my paper focusing on the ancient Tigris and Euphrates in this area. I'm always using different set of data, different type of methods to reach my conclusion. So I have a background as a geologist, so I'm using geological method, geological map, historical text, historical maps, Orientalist map, pottery, cuneiform. I do field work and ground truthing. I took sample for laboratory analysis. I am using a different type of satellite image, Landsat, digital globe, corona image, SRTM, and topographical map. So that's why sometime between projects, I'm sure what I'm concluding of. So because I'm using all of these sort of methods, and I'm here on the ground. Whenever I need to go to any area for ground truthing, I just drive my car and go there and dig and see what is going on. So I dug more than 40 boreholes across this floodplain using my own hand augers. So I'm really good at this job when I take my workers whenever I need, and then dig. I don't need a permission because I'm digging in the floodplain, not in the archaeological site. So I'm a geologist digging in the soil, not in the archaeological site. So it's so easy job for me. This is just an example about how depth can I dig, more than 7 meters. And I can take sample, charcoal or shell, and I can send it to Miami for beta company to get some radiocarbon dating. I got lots of funding from other projects to support my work. So that's why I have more than 40 samples in my work dated by beta company. Yeah, in terms of ground truthing, you see, this section, you can easily recognize the green or the dark bed. It is belong the ancient marshes, and the red clay, it's belong the ancient floodplain. So it is easy to identify and then reconstruct the ancient landscape by using the geological information. So whenever I go and dig, I see a repetition between the floodplain, marshes, riverbed, desert, and then back again, marshes, floodplain, river, and then desert, and you see this succession. So it's because we do have unstable rivers and then unstable marshes. So it's when I say there is a marsh there, it will not stay in its place forever. When we have a river there, of course, it won't stay forever. So that's why we have this repetition of beds. Yeah. So after at the end, I managed to identify and to spot more than 1,000 sites using my method, and of course the previous work of scholars who did their work in the floodplain. So you see how many sites I identified in this map. And from the site pattern, you can see there is, you can pick or you can recognize a line, because this line, it will be, it is, ancient river or canal. So you see that distribution of settlement within the floodplain. You can see an area that we have a high density of settlement, and an area we have a low density of settlement. Of course, this is the old settlement. I didn't separate these settlement according to their period of occupation, but I will do later, maybe. So this is in terms of archaeological site. In terms of ancient river, and this is my specialty and my job, you can see the how many pieces of how many reaches of ancient river or ancient canal in the black line. So from the north, the Samarra, Diyala, Odem, you can see like Afan, and then lots of ancient river. You go to Baghdad from Ramadi, and then in the middle of Iraq, and then to the marshes. So all of these channels or rivers being identified, using my my method. Of course, this map contains the network, but in different period. Of course, I should separate each period. I mean, each network belong which period. Yeah, I made this figure just to show you the lakes, marshes, and the northern shoreline of the Arabian Gulf. In the middle Holocene, I mean 4 million BC or sort of, based on combination of geological, geomorphological, remote sensing, textual, and radiocarbon date. So you see the ancient shoreline. We have marshes everywhere, not only in the southern part of Iraq. There's a stereotype saying that when we say marshes, we only refer to the south of Iraq, around Ur or Girso. Well, I found marshes even in Baghdad, for example. So I found a half meter of ancient marshes near Baghdad, and you see how big this marsh. We have marshes even close to Hilla, or in the middle of Iraq. We have to the north of Kul. We have marshes to the south of Najaf. So marshes everywhere actually in Iraq. So that stereotype should be corrected. So please expect you will find marsh everywhere whenever you dig in the floodplain, because it is a floodplain, because Tigris and Euphrates are not stable. That's why we can get a marsh whenever Tigris and Euphrates go. So the idea that the marshes just belong to Ur is not correct. I have another map, but I didn't put it in this presentation. Babylon has a large marshes. I think Babylon wouldn't survive without a large marshes. Uruk has a large marshes. Most of the big cities and capitals in the past were close to a large marshes. Rivers are not enough to build large cities. People in the Mesopotamian floodplain need marshes and river to thrive. Marshes only are not enough. River only, of course, not enough. Both of them, it will be the typical environment to thrive. Yeah, so that was in the Middle Holocene period, the map, and that one around the Parthian, Sasanian, and Islamic period. You see the shape, the differences between the previous map and the current map. You see the shape of the locations of the marshes changing. Of course, the location of the river changing. We have large. We used to have large marshes, but then became smaller. We used to have small marshes, became larger. We used to have marshes and then disappeared. So you see this change in this environment. How about the people? How about the cities? You see this big change. It's tsunami for them. I mean, that's why they're always struggling to follow or fight the environment, because river is changing and marshes, of course, changing. There were no dams. Tigris and Euphrates sometimes they run in a huge current, and of course nobody can stop them. Now we do have lots of barrage and dam, and we barely control Tigris and Euphrates. That's why we have a relatively stable Mesopotamian floodplain. But how about the past? I mean, So this part, yeah, I saw some of scholar mentioning how people in the past were fighting the river and the marshes. But we do need more. We need the cuneiform studies to support us. We need more geological and geoarchaeological studies to show us more about this this fact. Yeah. So in terms of river avulsion, actually, so this map actually show you the main ancient rivers and their avulsion in the Mesopotamian floodplain. So we do have 11 major river avulsion, and their nodes have been identified. 5 for the Euphrates and 6 for the Tigris. It has been found that these avulsion contributed to the shaping, formation, and aggradation of both the ancient and the present-day landscape of the floodplain. 2 kinds of avulsion have been taking place in the floodplain. So re-occupational and progradational. And the first of this type of avulsion, the major flow diverted into a previously existing channel. In contrast, the progradational avulsion began by inundation or flooding a large section of a floodplain between elevated ridges, producing prograding deposits that filled topographic law of the floodplain. These avulsions actually have affected the distribution, flourishing, and degradation of the human settlement of the Southern Mesopotamian civilization. This study has demonstrated that how human impact played a leading role in distribution of sediment across the floodplain and shaping both of the Holocene and the recent landscape of the Mesopotamian floodplain. By using a period of human occupation of archaeological site to date associated palaeochannel, we can get acceptable accuracy on their timing and duration, and can give a clear indication about the activity of these channels. So I think it's so clear for you. I mean, you can recognize the how many river avulsion was there in this period. Yeah, so I selected a several examples that was in the past. I mean, but now, I mean, let's say in the Ottoman period, the last 400 years of Iraq. So we have several avulsions that happened, and of course affected the settlement of in the southern Mesopotamia. For example, all of us know Basra. So Basra is a famous Islamic city resting by the Gulf. Actually, Basra during the medieval or the Islamic period was there in Zubair. We don't have the Basra, the current Basra. So the Basra that being mentioned in the text, the well-known Basra in the Islamic text, Basra is there in Zubair, and Shatt al-Arab is there to the west of the current Basra. Shatt al-Arab or Euphrates or even Tigris, that one. So we have the desert, the ancient Basra, and the Shatt al-Arab or Tigris or Euphrates. But in the Ottoman period, actually, we found the new Basra here. So which one is Basra, actually? And what happened to the ancient Basra, and how people built the new Basra? What was the area or the environment in the new Basra land? Actually, it was a marsh, or was like the Tigris was, or the Gulf was there. The other example is that Amara or Misan. Amara is a large Iraqi city in the south. It wasn't there during the last 400 years. And actually, it's more recent, I mean, but people doesn't know, people do not know. People think Amara was 1,000 years ago was formed. But you know, Amara is new. Its age less than 400 years. It was formed during the Ottoman Empire. Before that, the area of Amara was marshes. You know, Kut, Al-Hay, Al-Fajr, Shatra, and even Biqar. All of these Iraqi most populated cities and famous cities, let's say, all of these weren't there in the last 400 years. I mean, it's formed before or after the Ottoman Empire. All of this area actually were marshes. Diwaniyah, where Al-Qadisiyah University is located. Diwaniyah was established or formed in 1970. Before that, the river of Diwaniyah, which is a branch of Euphrates, was there. So we have the ancient river of Diwaniyah, and Diwaniyah, which was its name was Rammahiyah. Then we have Diwaniyah. So when Rammahiyah and its river dry out, the people, you know, just traveled to the other part of Iraq, including this place of Iraq, Diwaniyah. So most of the Iraqi cities actually are new. They came or they formed after a river avulsion or a dried marsh. Karbala, for example, Karbala wasn't there during the holy battle in Karbala. It was a desert. Then it's still a desert until, you know, less than 400 years. Why? Because the main Euphrates was here, in Hilla. There was no Euphrates there. It was a bit marshes or, you know, a desert. Then a river avulsion happened, and the water reached near Karbala, and then Karbala thrived. The same story with Najaf, you know. So Najaf was a small city, like a fortified city with no quite number of population. But a river avulsion happened, the water became close to it, and then it's thrived. Samawa, we don't have Samawa before 200 years ago. It was a fully marshy area. Then now we have Samawa, which is a large province in Iraq. So I mean, you see now how the Iraqi cities can be formed, how can Iraqi cities can be vanished, and this is because we have unstable marshes, unstable ancient rivers. We need to do more. We need to understand the impact of instability of rivers and marshes on the current actually and the past cities. Baghdad, the capital of Iraq, it wasn't there, you know, before Islamic Baghdad. It was a large marshes during the Seleucid or Sassanid period. It was a large marshes, and then you know, during the late Sasanian, early Islamic, the marshes started to dry, and then the area was good to build Baghdad. Yeah, lots of things, but you know, there's no time. So thank you very much.
Hey, thank you very much.